Transformers: Rise of the Beast was directed by Stephen Cubitt Jr. and it stars Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime and it stars Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback. And this movie takes place 7 years after the events of Bumblebee, and this is the sequel to Bumblebee. So in this movie, the movie takes place in the 1990s, where Optimus Prime and the Autobots have to face their biggest challenge yet, because the Terracons are coming to Earth. It's because they're looking for this this artifact called the Transwarp Key. The Transwarp Keys are these artifacts that opens like portals between time and space, and then they want to use these artifacts to bring Unicron to conquer Earth. And now for the Autobots and our human main lead characters, they both have to fly to Peru. They meet up with the Maximals, and they need to help to stop the Terracons. And now we got our movie. In Transformers: Rise of the Beast, I've been hearing a lot of praise from the audience. The critics said they didn't like it, but what the audience is all like, oh no, don't pay attention to the critics. Form your own opinion after you watch the movie. After watching this movie, I did form my own opinion. I love this movie. Transformers: Rise of the Beast is one of my top 10 favorite Transformers movies since Bumblebee in the first movie and Dark of the Moon for that matter. I do want to say now, after watching all the live action Transformers movies in theaters, I've seen the 2007 movie, I've seen Revenge of the Fallen, I've seen Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, The Last Knight, Bumblebee, and now Rise of the Beast. I completed my whole entire journey, and I also did review all the Transformers movies: the 1986 movie, Bumblebee, and 5 Michael Bay Transformers movies leading up to Rise of the Beast. Now, what do I think of Rise of the Beast? Rise of the Beast is one of my favorite Transformers movies. In my opinion, this is one of the best Transformers movies I ever watched. But is it perfect? No. But it's very promising. But I don't know how it's promising or why is it promising, but we'll talk about that later. But I guess that's it for that. Let's talk about the actors and the characters themselves. Starting off with is Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime. Now, Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime has been doing a really good job. Peter Cullen is very important to us as Optimus Prime, and he created Optimus Prime in the past since the 1980s, and now seeing him today in this movie, he was very good in this movie. He was good in the Bay Transformers movies. He was good in Bumblebee, and also he was good in some of the Transformers shows that he was in, and also he was good in this movie as well. Now, Optimus Prime in this movie is the main character of this film, is mainly because of his story arc. Optimus Prime's story arc is, I believe he doesn't trust, it has to do with the humans. I think this has to do with the humans because I think it's because he probably doesn't want any humans involved, or maybe he doesn't want, he probably doesn't want any humans involved, or maybe he doesn't trust humans, or maybe he thinks the humans are very untrustworthy. I understand, and because of Optimus Prime, I understand he's starting out. I understand he's new to Earth. So I was like, I think they could have explained why Optimus Prime does not trust humans. They should have explained a little bit more of that in the movie. That's why I was like, if they would have explained a little bit more of that in the movie, then I would have been like, okay, I totally understand why you don't trust humans. That's it. But and Optimus and his Autobots, they meet up with the Maximals. They meet up with the Maximals for the first time, and they both have to, they meet up with the Maximals, and they discovered about the Terracons and the Transwarp Keys, and now they gotta stop the Terracons. And Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime is really good in this movie, like he was in the other Transformers lore. And Peter Cullen did an awesome job as Optimus Prime. Even though I'm a Peter Cullen fan, I'm an Optimus Prime fan, he actually built this. Peter Cullen built Optimus Prime because he kept Optimus Prime for the past few years. But in the movie, he's really good in this film. And that's all I can say for Optimus Prime till all are one. And next up is Bumblebee. Now, Bumblebee's not voiced by anybody. He was voiced by Dylan O'Brien in his own solo movie. But Bumblebee in this movie, he was not in the movie. I mean, Bumblebee's in the movie a lot. But so there's sometimes he wasn't in the movie too much, but he's getting a lot of care. He's been getting a lot of care. But if you have not seen the trailers, I won't say anything. But the only thing I can say is Bumblebee was not in the movie too much, but until he gets into the action. Boom. And I think that's it for Bumblebee. He's not voiced by Dylan O'Brien. And next up is Pete Davidson as Mirage. Now, when I heard that Pete Davidson was voicing Mirage, I was like, oh no. And I said, is Mirage going to be extremely annoying, or is Pete Davidson going to be annoying? I mean, No, Mirage is hilariously funny. I was extremely worried that Mirage was going to be extremely annoying. I was a little worried. Yeah, I was extremely excited and worried about Mirage, but Pete Davidson, I'm not a Pete Davidson fan myself, but Pete Davidson fans, Pete Davidson fans are going to have to go see this movie because Pete Davidson is voicing Mirage in this movie. Now, Mirage in this movie, he steals every single scene that he's in. He's funny. He has a good connection with Anthony Ramos' character Noah, and then there's sometimes there's some times where he's off task most of the time. He's being told he's being told what to do by Optimus Prime. He's like, well, Optimus is always telling me this, Optimus is telling me that. Prime cares about himself here and back and forth, and I'm like, okay, dude, I get that, but yeah, I really like Pete Davidson as Mirage. Pete Davidson as Mirage made this character. Pete Davidson made this character extremely enjoyable, funny. Mirage wasn't inappropriate. He wasn't saying anything inappropriate. He wasn't really he wasn't saying anything offensive or say some really dumb things. Mirage in this movie is funny. He made Mirage funny and made more like a fun, enjoyable character. Pete Davidson's Mirage is really good in this movie, and that's all I can say for Mirage. And next up is Lee Zakashi as RC. Now, RC in this movie is awesome. Now, RC discovers about the transwarp key, and now her and the other Autobots have to fly to Peru to meet with they meet with the Maximals. They meet with the Maximals for the first time, and then they have to stop the Terracons. And that's all I can say for RC. And RC was more than just a background character. RC got a lot more screen time. Now, after watching Revenge of the Fallen, I felt so bad for RC. I felt so bad. But in Bumblebee, RC was a lot more prominent because she made a G1 cameo, which that was a very nice live-action G1 cameo. But in Rise of the Beast, she got a lot more screen time in this movie. She was a lot better. I'm going to say, in my opinion, RC was a lot better in this. She was a lot better in Bumblebee. She was a lot better in Rise of the Beast than she was in Revenge of the Fallen. But yeah, RC is really good. Lee Zakashi as RC is really good in this movie, and that's all I can say for RC. And next up is Christopher Fernandez as Wheeljack, because everybody keeps calling him Pablo. I mean, I'm gonna call him whatever. Some people call him Pablo, some people call him Wheeljack with me. I'm gonna call him whatever. But Wheeljack in this movie, because of Wheeljack in this movie, he only shows up at least later on during the movie, and he also discovers about the same thing that the Autobots and the Maximals were also discovering in this movie. And Wheeljack also has this Hispanic accent in this film as well. And that's all I could say. And Christopher Fernandez as Wheeljack is really good in this movie, and that's all I can say for Wheeljack, aka Pablo. Next up is Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal. Now, we know Ron Perlman was Hellboy in the past, and now he's voicing Optimus Primal. Now, I love Optimus Primal in this movie. So he leads the Maximals he really actually leads the Maximals, because him and the Maximals come to Earth. They come to our planet, and they did find out that the Terracons have followed them to Earth. The Terracons have followed them to Earth. They're trying to protect the key. Yeah, they want to do everything in their power to protect the key from Scourge and his Terracons. And until they meet up with the Autobots, and they're just like, yeah, we need your help to fight this guy before he does something a lot more dangerous. And that's all I can say for that. Ron Perlman as Optimus Primal is really good in this movie, and that's it for Optimus Primal. And next up is Tanguy Carusa as Chidor. Now, I did hear Chidor talk. At least he only said probably at least 2 or 3 lines in the movie, and that's pretty much it. And I was like, that's it? He didn't really talk that much. I mean, Chidor and Rhinox, they didn't talk too much, but I was just like, oh man, I wish they actually spoken a lot more like they did, like Chidor did in the Beast Wars cartoon. But yeah, I really enjoyed Chidor in this movie, and I was like, well, and the thing is, Chidor, I'm glad he actually got a chance to talk, because I was a little worried that Chidor wasn't going to have a voice. He was going to be a background character, much as Bumblebee, but no, he actually speaks, which is good. And then later on, he gets into the robot mode, he turns back into his beast form, something like that. And that's pretty cool though. And Tanguy Carusa is really good as Chidor. He's really good in this movie, and that's all I can say for Chidor. And next up, excuse me. And next up is David Sokolov as Rhinox. Now, Rhinox is, I gotta tell you, I really like Rhinox in this movie. And Rhinox is in his beast form. Yeah, there's nothing much to say about Rhinox because of the movie. After I watched the movie, I was like, yeah, Rhinox didn't really get that much to do in this movie, except for he got into the action. The only thing I can say is about Rhinox. Rhinox is in his beast form throughout the movie because he's a rhino. But then later on he turns into his robot mode, then back into rhino mode, and that's all I can say. And David Sokolov, I can actually hear David Sokolov's voice a little bit as Rhinox. So I was a little confused. I'm like, I think he's spoken like at least 1 or 2 lines. I can't remember. But I think that's all I can say for that. And I think that's it for Rhinox. And next up is Michelle Yeoh as Airazor. Now, Airazor is also part of the Maximals because Airazor does not transform in her robot mode. She's in her beast form throughout the movie, which I'm like, wait, she's usually in her robot mode and beast form in the Beast Wars animated series. Maybe the CGI creators had issues or had some trouble with the robot mode. I don't know. I think that's why they're just like, no, let's just leave her in her beast form. And I said, well, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I get it. I mean, I do respect them for trying. But Airazor in this movie, because of Airazor in this movie, Airazor discovered that the Terracons have followed them to Earth. They followed the Maximals to Earth, and discovering them, and that she's trying to protect the Transwarp Key as well. She helps the Autobots and the others on their mission, and that's it for that. And Michelle Yeoh's Airazor is really good in this movie, and that's all I can say for Airazor. And then next up is the big bad, and that is Peter Dinklage as Scourge. Now, I heard a lot of Transformers fans were talking about this character, saying that he's one of the best villains. He's a better villain than the other Transformers villains that we had in the past from base Transformers movies. But I do want to say that I love this villain. And I actually liked him as a villain more than Lockdown that we saw in Transformers Age of Extinction. But he did remind me a little bit like Lockdown. He reminds me a little bit like Lockdown from Age of Extinction and Megatron from Transformers Dark of the Moon, but different, the way he looks. I love the fact that Scourge is one of the best villains. Now, Scourge leads his 2 Terracons. Yeah, his 2 Terracons in the movie are Battletrap and Nightbird. And the thing is that he's after the Transwarp Key. He works for Unicron. Yeah, he works for Unicron, so he can bring. He's trying to complete 2 Transwarp Keys to bring Unicron in this army of Predacons or Terracons or Freezers, whatever you want to call them, to Earth and to wreak havoc. And now for the Autobots, they both have to stop him. And the one thing I do want to talk about for Scourge also, whenever, because of Scourge actually, whenever he kills an Autobot, a Decepticon or an Autobot Elite Guard, a Maximal or a Predacon or a Terracon, whatever, he takes off their insignias and attaches on him as actual tattoos. It's like Thanos. It's like Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, who's trying to get all the Infinity Stones to put him on his gauntlet and become stronger and powerful and snap his fingers to wipe out half of the population. Does Scourge do that in this movie? No, that's a total different story. And I do want to say Peter Dinklage as Scourge is really good in this movie. I love Scourge. I love the way he looks. I like the way he's a badass villain in this movie. He feels like a power-hungry, scary, creepy, dark villain. He is awesome. I love Scourge in this movie. Including the Terracons. I love the Terracons in this movie. They were awesome villains. And I think that's it for Scourge. And for our human main lead characters, we got Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback as Noah and Elena. Now, starting off with Noah in this movie is having money problems. He has responsibilities at home. He has to take care of his brother. Yeah, he has to take care of his brother because he's ex-military, and he's a father figure to his little brother. And he meets up with the Autobots. He connects with Mirage, and he helps them. He helps the Autobots and the Maximals complete their journey. And for Dominic Fishback, as Elena, the thing is about Elena that Elena in this movie, she works at this museum where she discovers a little bit like some kind of ancient ancient artifacts that she discovers, because she learns all about these things. And hold on a sec. Sorry about that. And the thing that I really like about Elena is she discovers about all these things from the museum, and she helps out with the Autobots to complete this mission, and the Maximals for that matter. So, and with Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback, what else I really like about their characters, it doesn't feel romantic. They don't feel like they're in a romantic relationship. They stay in their friendship, friend zone way, like Charlie and Memo, like they did in Bumblebee. But with Noah and Elena, they don't act like Sam Witwicky and Michaela Baines or Sam and Carly from the Bay Transformers movies. They feel like fun characters, and they're pretty easy to understand what they've been up to. And for Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback, they're pretty good in this movie. And that's all I can say for those two human main lead characters. And that's it for the actors and the characters themselves. I do want to talk about the action. The action in this movie is fantastic. I love all the action sequences in this movie, of how they were helmed with good cinematography. The CGI is spectacular. I love all the CGI. The CGI in this movie feels... Now, with all the CGI stuff, with all the robots in this movie, they feel like they're real-life robots, like in CGI form. They don't feel unfinished. Most of the CGI doesn't feel unfinished. The CGI in this movie felt completed. And I'm glad they cleaned up the CGI due to the teaser trailer. They cleaned up the CGI in the second trailer, and in this movie as well. And in the final battle, I've been hearing people saying that the final battle reminds me a little bit like Avengers Endgame, and I was like, it does, but with the Transformers in it, the final battle, now that, well, we can't just have city battles like we did in the past with Michael Bay, because the Bay Transformers movies, the city battles we had, that was from the first movie, Dark of the Moon, but in this movie, it took place in Peru. The final battle took place in Peru. It took place somewhere else, where there's no humans. But I enjoyed the final battle in this movie, how it's focusing more on the robots and less humans. But some of the action sequences are cool in base Transformers movies. But there's sometimes they cut back on the humans, they cut back on the robots, cut back on the humans, cut back on the robots. And the humans just take over, and the robots are just getting less focused. Rise of the Beast and Bumblebee does not do that. Rise of the Beast has one of the best action sequences, has one of the best final battle sequences in the movie. And same thing goes to Bumblebee. Bumblebee had less humans and more focus on the robots, which I really liked about the final battle and all the action scenes in the movie. So I think the reason why this movie is very promising is mainly because over the past few years, this is a full-on Transformers movie. It feels like a Transformers movie because it takes place in the 90s. And I was born in the 1990s myself, and that is why I was looking forward to this movie. So, since the movie takes place in the 90s, there's a lot of 1990s culture. There's some 1990s hip-hop that actually keeps the movie going. And all the 1990s references in this movie, you can pretty much tell what the 90s look like. Like in Bumblebee, you can pretty much tell what the 80s look like. Same thing goes to Rise of the Beast, which took place in the 90s. And I love that. That's what I really loved about Rise of the Beast and Bumblebee, because Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast showed a lot of cool culture, a lot of cool, let's say, year culture, like, say, Bumblebee from the 80s, Rise of the Beast from the 90s. I love all the vibes and the 1990s vibes that we have in this movie. You can pretty much tell what the 1990s look like, and it's understandable to see. And the robots in this movie got a lot more screen time, and there's some times where the humans take over, but no. And then the movie starts off strong by focusing on the robots. The robots got a lot more screen time in this movie than they did in the past. And I mean, there were a couple of scenes in base Transformers movies where they did focus on the robots. But in Rise of the Beast, they focus a lot more on the robots. The villains got more screen time. The robots got a lot more focus. Even though Mirage does steal the film, Optimus Prime, I think there's sometimes he does. Well, mostly Mirage steals the movie. Optimus Prime, sometimes. But the robots in this movie, I love the robots in this movie as well. They were gotten a lot more care, love, support. And I think Stephen Keeper Jr., thank you so much. We're doing a pretty good job, and they're doing a lot of good work on this movie. And I think that's it for Transformers Rise of the Beast, and that's all I can say. And I think that's it. So go see Transformers Rise of the Beast, form your own opinion. If you like the movie or you don't like the movie, form your own opinion. So I guess that's it for this review for Transformers Rise of the Beast, and I think that's it. Nothing much else to say. So be sure to like, subscribe, post notification bell, follow me on Instagram, comment down below, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you for watching.